Okay, we'll take questions for Coach. We've got boom mics around the room. Please, Doug, right here on 2.
Nick, Doug Smith of the Toronto Star. With reports that Kevin Durant is going to play again, has it changed your day and your preparation in any way?
I mean, a little bit, Doug. I mean, the reports have been coming out since Game 1. I think that he was going to play by Game 3. So, we prepped each game, 3, 4, and now 5. So it wasn't like it was a total departure from everything we've been doing. But, yeah, we put in some clips of him today and walked through some stuff.
Davide over on the right.
Coach, Davide Chinellato, Gazzetta Italy. How do you try to make this just another game instead of the game you can potentially win the NBA championship?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to, right? I think that these games are tough, and we realize how hard we've had to play. And we've really tried, again, to make it a focus, even from the beginning of training camp, that we weren't going to get super caught up in the results, that those things would take care of themselves. And I think, our focus tonight is on doing the work, right? There's a lot of work to be done. This is a great team, very well coached. And we got to go out and play super hard tonight. We know we do to win, and just let everything else take care of itself.
Well, over here.
Michael Grange from Sportsnet. Presuming KD does play, what's the element that he brings that has maybe kept you up a little bit, planning, kept you up at night maybe?
Yeah, well, I mean, he brings everything, Michael, right? He first of all brings a explosive transition game. He'll race up the floor and pull up from across half court, right? Like a couple of the other guys do. So that's another threat in transition you got to get ready for. They've got a package of stuff they run for him, right? There's a lot of the 3-5 mid pick and rolls. There's the Curry Durant pick and rolls. There's a Durant Curry pick and rolls. There's some pin down plays that he runs where he isos the side of the floor, and then there's the post up game. So that's a lot of stuff. But we'll, again, a lot of it we're already guarding with other guys that we can say, hey, we're guarding this post up similar to the way we're guarding this guy's post up, or we can reference things from other series as well, which has been really helpful in this series, and just take it as it comes when the ball goes up.
Just as a follow-up, do you start Kawhi on him? Would that be the obvious matchup?
I think so, but again, they have a different starting lineup every night. We don't really get caught up in the matchups, really. Once we get out there and see who's out there, each our guy points to one of the guys they're going to take, and then we go from there. There's a lot of switching going on, and a lot of early subbing from both teams as well. So I think, I don't really get caught up in the matchup stuff. I mean, I realize how important it is. You want your best defenders on their best scorers and things, but as much as you can. But there is so much switching and so many different coverages and all that stuff you're dealing with. It becomes more than the matchup sometimes.
Second row on the right.
Coach Steve Roston, Pro B-Ball. How does this game compare to Game 7 versus Philly, Game 3 against Milwaukee when your season might have been on the line? How does the team feel? How do you feel coming into this?
Yeah, I mean, again, I keep giving you the same answers, is that it's critical. It's a critical game, as those were, right? Game 2 against Orlando at home was critical. Game 3 at Orlando was critical. I mean, it's really how it feels. Each game in these playoffs feels like a must-win, a critical game, and that's how we're approaching it.
Right here in the front row.
Hi, Nick. Melissa Hernandez, Afterland. Just a follow-up to my question from Game 2. Your answer was that you wanted to go out there in Oakland and get 1, but you came back with 2. Okay. 1, how does that feel? And 2, how are you going to continue to keep up that momentum for tonight's game?
Well, I give most of that credit to Kawhi, because I said it in the locker room trying to kind of not make it feel so bad that we just lost a home game in the finals. I was like, all we got to do is go get 1. That's maybe not as insurmountable a challenge to go out there and get 1. And Kawhi said, expletive that, let's go get them both.
This side in the fifth row.
Right here, Nick. Louis Satzman, Raptors Republic. Just more about Kawhi. I know you said matchups aren't the biggest thing, but I'm assuming he'll take some reps against Durant. Does that add more responsibility, and if that more opportunity for him here?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he'll certainly guard him. I mean, one of the big things with Durant is you got to have somebody that can. Well, you don't really ever have anybody can look him in the eye, but at least the chest up. You know, you can't get too small on him or he'll shoot over the top of you. So, you know, Kawhi is one of our bigger defenders along with Pascal. You know, Serge would probably guard him again. You know, that's the biggest thing. I mean, he does it all, but probably the biggest way he hurts you is by shooting over the top of you. And, you know, Kawhi's size, Pascal, Serge, those guys will need to be on him as much as possible. So he's got to see some contest level.
Aisle over here.
Dan Reynolds with SB Nation. I know you're focused on over here.
Over where?
To your left. I know you're focused on what's happening inside the building. I'm just curious if you're made aware of the crowds outside, or if you're surprised at the scale and size of what's been happening outside the building.
I mean, it's hard not to be aware of some of it, but again, we've done a pretty good job of getting here and getting in the office and shutting the door and watching the film and keeping the guys in and walk through upstairs and things like that. I don't know. I think they've handled it all pretty well. But remains to be seen, I guess. We got to wait till the ball goes up, and it's good. I think, for me, I've said this before a number of times. When the ball goes up, you don't really, there's nothing going on. You're totally focused on, what's happening on the court. The 10 players on the court. You're trying to, it's hard enough keeping track of that, let alone all the people in the crowd and all the stuff going on, and you don't really sense that much of it. And I feel like when I played, it was the same, and even though it was a really long time ago, but I think our guys probably feel the same as well.
Steve, right here.
Steve Ashburner, NBA.com. Developments have sort of kept us locked in on Golden State's injury situation. Can you give us an assessment of your team's health overall, and what sort of restrictions or limitations are involved tonight on anybody?
Yeah, no, we're good. Everybody's good, full of energy, ready to go.
Throw on the right.
Lucas Meyer, News Talk 1010 Toronto. Coach, it's just a little bit on that note. Update on OG at all? We saw him shooting about earlier today to see
he's ready to go.
So you would expect him to get on the floor? And
I don't know about that, but he is ready to go. He's been cleared health-wise for the last couple games. But, again, it just depends. It's situational. We're pretty happy with our rotations here for the last 8, 10, 12 games. But he's ready, and he may get out there.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
All right. Enjoy the game.
First question right here in the front row.
Steve, Paul Antunes, ESPN Brazil. How did Kevin Durant respond to his workouts there in the last 36 hours or so, and will he start tonight?
He responded well, and yeah, he's going to play.
Is this a situation, Coach? Is this a situation where kind of desperate times call for desperate measures? Because in Game 3, you kind of held out Clay because you said it was a long series, and now you got your backs are really against the wall. If it was a situation similar to Game 3, would he play tonight with the way he's feeling right now?
We're really going to go into it that deeply. He can play now. He's been cleared, so he's going to play.
Brian, back right.
Brian Mahoney, Associated Press. Steve, when Cleveland came back on you guys in that series, obviously there were some big personnel changes. You lost Draymond the game, then you lost Bogut. Does it take something like that beyond just X's and O's to change a series? And is maybe having Kevin in your mind possibly it?
I haven't researched every 3-1 deficit, but generally speaking, when you get to the finals or the conference finals, you get two great teams, and so if a team can get a win when it's 3-1 and make it 3-2, they got some momentum. So that's the idea. That's the whole idea tonight is play better than we've been playing, and get some momentum early, win one game, and then the tenor of the series changes, and so that's our goal.
Michael over here, third row.
Steve, Michael Grange from Sportsnet. No one knows better what KD brings at his best, but even at I guess maybe a bit of a stripped down model, what does he do for your team? What could he do for Clay and Steph?
Well, even without having played, he's still such a huge threat, and he can get a shot off against anybody, and we'll see. I don't want to put too much of a burden on him. It's been a while. We don't know how it's going to go, how it's going to look, but just his mere presence makes a huge difference for us, and so we'll start him and play him in short bursts and see how he responds. Physically, see if his wind is okay, and as the game goes, we'll try to figure it out from there.
Left side on the aisle over here.
Tom Oldfield, Sports Beat. Steve, when you look at your bench tonight, who stands out as the X factor that could help you get over the line?
I don't think there is one. I think we just have to play better as a team, and we're hoping that Kevin's return can sort of normalize the bench players' roles. It's guys get into routines in the NBA, and they're used to playing with certain combinations, playing certain roles. It's tough when you move pieces around. So I think the idea tonight is let's get back to looking more like ourselves, and everybody can fit into their role, and everybody can do their thing, and we'll play better.
Mark in the front.
Mark Medina, Bay Area News Group. With Kevin coming back, what do you envision how that will affect what Andre's role will be, as well as the center rotation?
Well, Andre's obviously going to play a huge role in the game. He does in every game that he plays. And the center position, we've kind of played for years with a center by committee approach. And so we'll find combinations and we'll go from there. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you exactly what I'm going to do.
4 over here on the left.
To piggyback off that a little bit, one thing we haven't seen you do a lot of in the series is play small with Draymond at center. I know you're not going to get into too much detail, but just having Kevin back, I imagine, gives you the flexibility to do that more than you've been able to. I imagine that's a nice thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, the strength of playing that way is the versatility and the scoring. So we have that option. We haven't really had that option so far in the series. We did it for a few minutes, I think, in Game 2. But, yeah, we've got that as an option.
Just raise your hand right here, please. Okay, on 4, over here.
Coach, do you feel like Patrick McCaw being on the Toronto team gives them some sort of insider information, intel on your system, on your schemes?
I'm sure Patrick's been giving them the entire playbook and the scouting report, and I have no idea.
Paul, standing over here on the left.
Steve, over here, Paul Jones, NBA TV Canada. What do you remember about being up 3-1 or down 3-1 against OKC, and then coming back and then being up 3-1 against Cleveland and letting it slip away? What things stand out in both those situations?
Same thing that stands out in every series that I've ever been involved in. Player, coach, GM. One game turns a series. It changes the momentum. It changes the feel. And so the whole focus is just win a game. So, you don't need to look beyond tonight. You just need to go out and play well and win a game, and then you go from there.
On the right side.
Hi, Coach. Lucas Meyer, News Talk 1010 Toronto. With Durant being in and the way that, DeMarcus, the way you started in Game 2, what we saw in Games 3 and 4, I mean, how do you see Kevin coming in potentially affecting DeMarcus's minutes now he might be used tonight?
Well, Kevin's insertion changes quite a bit for us, and so we have an idea of how we're going to play and what our rotation will look like. And of course, I'm not going to tell you that.
Any other questions for Coach? Davide, last question.
Coach, Davide Chinellato, Gazzetta Italy. What do you think is going to take you to beat the Raptors? Obviously, you're getting Durant back, and it's going to be a huge boost, as you said. But besides that, what do you think is going to take you past the Raptors?
Well, we got to cut down our turnovers. We had 19 the other game, and we got to improve our defense. I thought we played a good first half of defense, but it's going to require a full game of solid defense. We do those two things, I like our chances. Thank you.